So, hello, my name is Zuzana Verc and this is Olga Zalmanova, and we are from Slovakia, from Ministry of Education, working on this topic, teachers in Slovakia, personality, competencies and status. So, we would like to provide insight into cognitive and socio-emotional skills of teachers in comparison with tertiary educated adults in Slovakia, because position and status of teachers in Slovakia is actually one of the lowest amongst European countries. So in this presentation, we're going to focus on three areas, what we examined. We checked cognitive skills of teachers in comparison with tertiary educated adults. We examined Big Five personality dimensions, literacy and training, the influence of these on life and job satisfaction. And we also added teacher status and salaries just to bring a complex view of the position of teachers in Slovakia. And with these findings and many more, obviously, we would like to provide policymakers with a base how to improve and influence status and training of teachers. So a little bit of information about our sample. So as I mentioned, we're focusing on teachers with tertiary education. They are lower and upper secondary teachers. We had oversample in PIAAC data of these teachers. There were 1,049, ISTET 2 and ISTET 3, lower and upper secondary teachers. And then we're using university educated adults, 989, with also tertiary degrees, ISTET 6, 7, and 8. And they were 23 to 65 years old. Both samples were weighted. Teachers represented 41,648 people, from which 55% were primary school teachers and 45% were secondary school teachers. Proportion of women teachers in our sample was 74%, so quite high, and the average age or most preferred age category of teachers was 35 to 45 and 45 to 55 years old. So on these graphs here we show average score of, average score of university educated teachers in literacy, numeracy and APS, and these horizontal bars represent average score of tertiary educated in OECD. So here in numeracy we see that teachers achieve comparable results with university educated, while in literacy and APS teachers scored slightly higher than university educated. Then comparing to tertiary educated adults in OECD, we see that in all domains, teachers and university educated scored significantly lower than tertiary educated in OECD. Now looking at age, proficiency by age, we see that the highest score in all domains was achieved by 35 to 45-year-old teachers. And the score was significantly higher than the youngest teachers and the oldest teachers, and especially we can see it in numeracy, which is actually alarming result for us because we expected youngest teachers to have the best scores. And it also indicates a low acceleration skills in Slovakia. So now, gender differences, here looking at teachers, we see that in numeracy, male got significantly higher score than women, and in literacy and APS there were no statistically significant differences. Among university educated, there were no gender differences in any of domain. So now, here we present personality dimension and traits of teachers and university educated based on Big Five background framework. We used 30-item version in Slovakia, and we found out that most dominant personality dimensions of teachers were openness, then agreeableness, consciousness, and on the other hand, teachers preferred low extraversion and emotional stability. And basically, this graph is matching these personality traits. We can see that teachers preferred mostly aesthetic sensitivity, curiosity, creativity, respectfulness, and on the other hand, they rated themselves low on assertiveness, sociability, and relaxation. So looking at age, personality dimensions by age, looking at teachers, we can see that dimension extroversion declined with age, and then dimension openness also declined with age. And on the other hand, agreeableness increased with higher age. So this means that the younger teacher, comparing youngest to oldest teachers, younger teachers were more likely to be assertive, energetic, sociable, and the older teacher preferred more respectfulness and compassion. Now, personality dimensions by gender, we found out similar results between teachers and university educated. We can see that women teachers had higher level of openness, agreeableness, also consciousness, and on the other hand, men, both teachers and university educated, had higher level of emotional stability. So besides these personality dimensions, we also looked at training, non-formal education in last year, and we found out that 3/4 of teachers and almost half university educated preferred or participated in some sort of training last year. And teachers mostly participated in computer training, handling customers, communication, and security. And university educated trained themselves on security issues, computer skills, handling customers, and project management. And lastly, we were also interested in life and job satisfaction. And here I would like to point out that this life satisfaction had ascending scale from extremely dissatisfied to extremely satisfied. And job satisfaction had inverse scale from extremely satisfied to extremely dissatisfied. And around about 30% of teachers said that they are extremely satisfied. And also 30% of teachers tend to be extremely satisfied with their job. This was life. So now Olga will carry on with models.
Yes. We use Amos 29 for modeling and explaining the satisfaction with life on the background of this big five: agreeableness, consciousness, stability, extraversion, openness. In the first model, I would like to emphasize that all the models presented are on the teacher group, but we also did it on the group of university educated people, and all the models are suitable for both groups, but because of time we are presenting, and the focus we are presenting the teachers. And we can see that extraversion and openness has the non-significant connection with life satisfaction, and on the other hand, emotional stability is the strongest predictor with life satisfaction, 0.31, and also agreeableness and consciousness. We can see the big intercorrelation between these dimensions, and we added literature, but we should say that we also try to add numeracy, and the picture was the same. This model explains 16% of variability of life satisfaction, and all the estimates that you can see are standardized. We simplified the first model to the second model, where we see the stability remains the strongest predictor for life satisfaction for the teachers, and the agreeableness is like 3 times weaker. The connection and consciousness comparable to the connection of literature, and consciousness like 9 times weaker. And this model explains 18% of variability. We replace in the next model the life satisfaction with job satisfaction, and we want to know from all the big 5 dimensions which are significant for job satisfaction. We found out from all the dimensions only emotional stability is statistically significant. All the others are not significant, and also the cognitive item skill literature is not significant for the job satisfaction. And this model explains only 4% of variability. And in the fourth model, we combine these previous models, and we would like to explain this satisfaction with life, and put as endogenous variable also job satisfaction, connected with the only dimension that was significant with stability and expanding satisfaction with life. We can see that emotional stability directly and indirectly is the strongest predictor with 0.36, and agreeableness and literature are like 3 times weaker, and consciousness is like 9 times weaker, and but there are these intercorrelations between the dimensions, and the model explains 90%. And this model, we can see, explains also 90% when we use it for university educated, but and it's similar. Then we try to add this training. In the past 12 months, we found out that training was not significantly connected with life satisfaction, but weakly with job satisfaction, and intercorrelated with skills, with literature. And we can see the emotional stability is the strongest predictor with job satisfaction and satisfaction with life. This minus sign is because of this inverse scale of job satisfaction, but it's a direct connection. And we also try to add person age and gender, but we found out that gender has not significant connection with satisfaction, no life, no job, and person age has a weak satisfaction, weak connection with job satisfaction, like older the age, less job satisfaction, but what is paradoxal, the same is the training. And gender has intercorrelation with emotional stability, that we see the women less emotional stable as a man. And in this last model we are presenting is explaining 18% of this variability. We can add the teacher status, and that you can see the position of Slovak teachers, which is on the tail from the European countries attending in the TALIS survey, and you saw that teachers are comparable in skills with university educated, but when we look at the salaries of lower secondary, the teachers of lower secondary schools compare their salary to the university educated in Slovakia. It's only like 0.71, so also at the tail of the European countries, and so there are some recommendations to support Slovak teachers for the policymakers.
Yeah, we also suggest to increase proportion of male teachers, because actually male teachers had a little bit of higher numeracy, and also the more emotional stable than women teachers. All in all, we really strongly suggest to support a plurality dimension of teachers, because emotional stability was shown to be the strongest predictor of life and job satisfaction. And all in all, we suggest to reinforce the attractiveness of teachers' occupation, to engage or probably engage more younger teachers, and also we support to increase teachers' wages, at least up to ratio of university educated, and also to increase social status of teachers. So that's all from us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Susanna and Oliver, for these insights. Amazing that you got the funding for